Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, and welcome to the channel as well if you're new. And welcome to this new video, this market update right here on the crypto markets. It's a little bit earlier than normal. The US market still opens in about 25 minutes, so I'm quite early. And that also brings the risk with it that I will not be able to see what the US session does in this video. Even though that's very important, especially today. But still, I think I can prepare you for the US session and what you should be aware of today. And the thumbnail of the video, maybe the title as well, something like Last Chance. That's not what I wanted to look up. Last chance for Bitcoin. I'll tell you why I think that. And I say things like, critical moment, etc. Quite often. That is short term, right? So this is also short term, at least. I think today, going into tomorrow, especially also with the news that we have tomorrow and Friday, is going to be very crucial for the rest, or at least the start of the fourth quarter of 2025. So let's say October, November. So let's get right into it. Now, I wanted to start off with how the fundamentals look right now. Yesterday, at the end of the day, we had a bit of a pullback for equities. As you can see right here, we've had a bounce. It does seem like we can continue the uptrend. So that's good news. You can see with the Russell 2000 as well, a bit of a bounce here, pullback yesterday. This seems fine. There's a couple of things that make me a little bit worried about the markets. And that's also ultimately why the volatility index is slightly higher than Thursday last week. But it's not that high that I would say, ooh, fundamentally, I think a crash or a dump is coming. Not necessarily. It's a possibility, like, for example, when we're talking about the US government shutdown, those are things that can create uncertainty in the financial markets. And when uncertainty enters the financial markets, it's the risky assets that go first, right? So Bitcoin, altcoins. But that's the fundamentals currently. The fundamentals at this point of time are not bad. Unrest is not in the market yet. And there's also, even though we had a pullback yesterday, equities ultimately are still incredibly bullish, right? So I do want to stress that right here. And we also still have a Coinbase Bitcoin premium, even though that dropped down quite significantly yesterday. So that's the fundamentals. That's the fundamentals right now. I think you need to be aware. I think you need to be prepared for the news tomorrow and Friday. Today we have new home sales. I don't think those matter a lot. But Thursday we have GDP data and initial jobless claims. That's going to be important. That's going to be interesting. I'll still tell you about that tomorrow. So keep your eyes on the channel. And then Friday, even more importantly, we have the PCE and the core PCE price index, which is inflation rate data, which matters a lot. So be aware of that. But why is today then important, right? Because I told you today is quite important. Well, for the simple reason that Wednesday, which is today, has normally been a recovery day for the markets. All right. If you look back at the last month, you can see that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were all great. All right. We actually, on average, got some bullish momentum from Bitcoin, and then Friday was bearish, as very often. But if you go back in time to the last 3 months, you can see that Wednesday has by far been the strongest day. So therefore, yesterday was quite weak, in my opinion. The recovery that we've seen so far from Bitcoin, when we look at the price itself, looks good, but the volume is very low. All right, so I think today, maybe going into tomorrow, but we do need to see some strength. If we do not see strength on the day where normally we see strength, my bias becomes much more bearish. At this point of time, when we're talking about Bitcoin here, but same thing for Ethereum and XRP. At this point of time, what I still think is that we, after this liquidation spike right here, we formed balance in this area and we're waiting for a bullish breakout or a bearish breakdown. I still think it's most likely that we are going to get a bullish breakout. But if we do not get that bullish breakout today, I'm not certain if I still think that tomorrow, right? So therefore today, in my opinion, is a crucial day. But at this point of time, I would still say, also with the bullish divergence that we formed right here overnight, I would still say, and the fundamentals, at least right now still being bullish, I would say it's most likely we will be able to reclaim and that we will be able to head into that level between 114.5 and 115,000. So those are my thoughts, but that's, hopefully I've made it a little bit more clear why I think today for that is quite important. When I take a look at Ethereum, I expect the same. Ethereum, I would stay away from at this point of time. It's too unclear to me. But when I talk about XRP, I do expect the same, and that is a recovery into that level right here around 2.95. Let's keep it at that. Now let's move across the market and talk about some other interesting things. The most bullish crypto over the course of the last month, I'd say, is Aster. Aster, in my opinion, is getting close to a top right here. Major resistance level between 2.45 and 2.5. If you go to the 1 hour time frame, you can actually see that the RSI is making lower highs right here. The leverage is still increasing, but the volume no longer is. So big bearish divergence, strong resistance level. I think this is at least going to be a local top. So that's between 2.45 and 2.5. Now, does that mean you should short it? No, but those are my thoughts. So that's Aster. Outside of that, you know, the BNB ecosystem is still incredibly strong. So then I'm talking about coins featured on Binance Alpha, but also coins invested in by YZI Labs. So you can see something like Stable, something like SFP, something like ZKC probably is I'd say. Hemi as well. In, I think, was also In was actually listed on Upbit as well, but was also retweeted, I think, by CC. So that's why a lot of these relatively unknown coins are rallying. Personally, I've decided to mostly stay out. So I won't be able to tell you too much about what's going on there. I did trade it in the weekend and made some profit on that. If there's one coin, I would say, you know, keep your eyes on that. It's Vana, all right? So Vana is also closely related to Binance and CC. If this is able to reclaim this level around 2.85, I think that's a good opportunity, but it is risky, right? And there does seem to be some major manipulation behind some of these moves. And then outside of that, I mean, when we're talking about other altcoins, there's not much that I think we need to talk about. Avalanche is still quite strong. I still think Linea is going to break out, but I'm talking about that almost every video. And that's it for now. I mean, we saw some Aave strength earlier today, but that's too early to talk about right now. Those are my thoughts. Like I said, the US market is opening in about 15 minutes. That's going to be very volatile. We need to get a reclaim of 113.5 right in that session. If not, I'll probably turn more bearish tomorrow, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Hopefully I won't need to. Those are my thoughts. Have a great day, everybody. Take care and bye.